An extraordinary climate-defying summer storm, packing tornadic-strength straight-line winds, unprecedented accumulations of large hail, and torrential downpours, has struck Southwest Idaho's densely populated Treasure Valley. The extreme weather event, which reached its peak intensity during the late evening hours of Friday, June 26, 2026, has left an unprecedented trail of infrastructural destruction, widespread residential flooding, and severe disruption across multiple counties. By Saturday morning, the sheer volume of water combined with millions of tons of accumulated ice completely overwhelmed local municipal stormwater drainage networks, transforming arterial roadways into fast-flowing rivers of freezing slush. The severity of the crisis prompted emergency declarations from the Canyon County Board of Commissioners and the City of Caldwell administration, as rescue crews and municipal utility workers engaged in a round-the-clock battle against rising waters and structural collapse. Emergency management teams remain deployed across the region to clear choked infrastructure, restore failing electrical grids, and assess structural integrity in severely impacted residential zones. The meteorological setup that triggered the catastrophic events of June 26th began developing early last week as a deep, unseasonably cold low-pressure system descended from the Gulf of Alaska, colliding directly with an intense, high-pressure ridge of warm, highly humid air moving northward from the Great Basin. This combination created extreme atmospheric instability across eastern Oregon and western Idaho. According to data released by the National Weather Service, NWS, in Boise, the atmosphere on Friday afternoon exhibited historically high values of convective available potential energy, CAPE, paired with extreme vertical wind shear. By 6 p.m. on Friday, radar systems picked up an aggressive line of severe thunderstorms organizing over the Owyhee Mountains, which rapidly intensified into a series of catastrophic supercells as they migrated northeastward directly into the Treasure Valley corridor. What made this system uniquely destructive was its slow forward propagation speed contrasted against its hyper-intense precipitation rate. The storm systems effectively stalled over the urban centers of Caldwell, Nampa, Meridian, and parts of West Boise. Rather than passing through within the typical 15 to 30-minute window characteristic of Idaho summer storms, these cells anchored themselves over the valley floor, unleashing a relentless bombardment of large hail and tropical intensity downpours for hours. Meteorologists recorded microbursts with straight-line winds clocking between 60 miles per hour and 70 miles per hour. These winds acted as a mechanical force that stripped mature trees of their foliage, scattering heavy branches, leaves, and debris across every major roadway. This organic debris would later prove fatal to the valley's drainage infrastructure. Canyon County bore the initial and most violent brunt of the storm system. The cities of Caldwell and Nampa found themselves directly beneath the core of the most intense convective cell. In Caldwell, the weather transition was terrifyingly swift. The city experienced sustained heavy hailfalls, accompanied by a deluge that dropped more than 5 inches of water in a brief 15-minute window, a rate of precipitation that far exceeds the maximum engineering capacity of any standard municipal storm system in the Intermountain West. In many sectors of Caldwell, hail accumulated to depths of 3 to 6 inches on level ground, with drifts reaching up to 2 feet against buildings and fences. As the torrential rain fell on top of these massive ice accumulations, it created a phenomenon known as urban ice damming. The hail, mixed with stripped tree leaves and urban trash, drifted directly over storm grates, creating impenetrable blocks of ice. With nowhere to go, the runoff backed up instantly. Major thoroughfares throughout downtown Caldwell and surrounding residential neighborhoods were submerged under 2 to 4 feet of highly contaminated, freezing water. Basements in historic homes were filled to their ceilings, and several commercial storefronts suffered extensive ground floor water intrusion. Recognizing that local emergency response resources were rapidly becoming exhausted, Caldwell Mayor Jerome Wagoner, in coordination with emergency managers, officially issued a local declaration of emergency. This declaration unlocked immediate access to state-level resources, mobilized the Idaho National Guard for potential deployment, and authorized emergency spending to procure heavy machinery for debris removal. The city of Nampa faced an equally desperate situation. The storm tore through Nampa's commercial corridors and residential developments, flooding low-lying intersections and trapping dozens of motorists inside their vehicles. Nampa's emergency dispatch center was inundated with hundreds of calls from panicked citizens reporting water entering their homes, structural roof collapses under the weight of accumulated hail, and localized electrical fires caused by downed power lines coming into contact with floodwaters. In response, Nampa's Public Works and Wastewater divisions executed an extraordinary, coordinated overnight operation. Recognizing that the standing water posed an immediate threat to the structural integrity of residential foundations and public roadways, city officials deployed every available vacuum truck, industrial pump, and heavy service vehicle in their inventory. Working through the pitch-black, storm-battered night of Friday and into the daylight hours of Saturday, dedicated municipal crews successfully extracted, transported, and discharged more than 228,000 gallons of floodwater from critical arterial streets. This Herculean effort prevented the prolonged closure of major transportation routes, though many residential side streets remained heavily impacted by thick layers of mud, asphalt debris, and residual ice. As the storm system migrated further eastward into Ada County, it maintained its convective severity, delivering an unprecedented hail event to the cities of Meridian and Boise. To onlookers, the scene on Friday night resembled a midwinter blizzard rather than a late June summer evening. In Meridian, particularly along the rapidly developing northern and western corridors, the accumulation of hail was so dense that traditional snowplows had to be dispatched by regional highway districts to clear the roads. The intersections of 10 Mile Road, McMillan Road, and Chinden Boulevard became virtually impassable as cars lost traction on the deep layers of ice pellets. The primary operational challenge in Meridian was the melting process. As ambient temperatures slowly recovered on Saturday, the millions of tons of accumulated hail began to melt rapidly, releasing a secondary wave of high-volume runoff. Because the storm drains remained clogged by the initial wave of debris and ice, this meltwater generated prolonged flash flooding hours after the actual rain had ceased. Dozens of subdivision retention ponds overflowed their banks, spilling into adjacent streets and crawl spaces. Localized property damage in Meridian is expected to reach millions of dollars, driven heavily by water damage to high-value residential real estate. In West Boise and areas surrounding the Boise Towne Square Mall, the storm manifested as a chaotic mix of intense lightning, localized flooding, and widespread tree damage. The high winds snapped limbs from old-growth trees, which took down localized power distribution lines and crushed parked vehicles. The Boise Fire Department responded to multiple swift-water rescue calls, safely extracting individuals who had attempted to drive through flooded underpasses and found their vehicle engines stalled by high water levels. Emergency shelters were briefly established for residents whose homes became unlivable due to severe roof leaks caused by heavy hail damage and subsequent water cascading through ceiling fixtures. The geographic footprint of the destruction extended well beyond the core urban centers of the Treasure Valley, severely impacting outlying rural counties and critical state transportation infrastructure. Further north and west, Piatt County experienced intense flash flooding that triggered severe geomorphic instability. The combination of saturated topsoil and steep terrain resulted in significant mudslides and debris flows. The Idaho Transportation Department, ITD, was forced to execute emergency closures of several vital shipping and commuting corridors. A critical north-south shipping artery for the state of Idaho was closed at multiple points within Piatt County due to significant water accumulation across all lanes and the presence of large boulders washed down from adjacent hillsides. State Highway 52 suffered catastrophic localized damage after a major mudslide breached the roadway. depositing tons of earth, rock, and uprooted vegetation directly onto the pavement, completely severing connection routes between local communities. The violent combination of 60-plus miles per hour winds, falling trees, and widespread flooding inflicted severe damage on the regional electrical infrastructure managed by Idaho Power. At the height of the storm on Friday night, tens of thousands of homes and businesses across Canyon, Ada, and Piatt counties were plunged into darkness. Substations faced localized flooding risks, and utility poles were snapped like matchsticks in the rural areas surrounding Caldwell and Nampa. Idaho Power crews worked under hazardous conditions throughout the weekend to isolate damaged lines, replace broken poles, and systematically restore power to critical infrastructure, including hospitals, water treatment plants, and emergency dispatch centers. While power has been restored to a majority of urban customers, several rural pockets continue to experience outages as crews navigate debris-strewn access roads to repair isolated distribution transformers. To expedite the recovery of municipal infrastructure, city governments have established dedicated communication channels for residents to report non-emergency infrastructure failures. Residents who observe severe standing water that has reached or exceeded the height of the sidewalk curb, indicating a critically blocked storm drain, are instructed to contact the Nampa Highway District or Nampa Public Works at 208-489-6645. For non-life-threatening storm damage reports, downed trees blocking secondary roads, or localized public property issues within the county jurisdiction, citizens are asked to utilize the non-emergency dispatch line at 208-4547-531. Authorities emphasize that emergency lines must be kept clear strictly for life or death situations, such as active fires, medical emergencies, or individuals trapped by rising floodwaters.
Look at this fucking water, dude. This is from the storm, bruh. And these guys are fucking stuck.
Okay, let's go.
Be careful, you guys. You might put one foot in and go.
Person go home. Really? That's my front driveway.
It's insane. So that's a good come off.
What's she doing? Where's she going?
Yo,